Good afternoon. I'd like to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for joining us in this live session from MAHSA University. Saujanya Puram, Samuel, lecturer from the Faculty of Health Sciences, Nursing and Education, MAHSA University. I'll be moderating today's session, a webinar titled Innovative Physiotherapy Solutions for Lactic Acidosis, proudly organized by the Faculty of Health Sciences. Before we proceed, let me provide a brief overview of the program of the faculty. The Faculty of Health Sciences, Nursing and Education provides the following programs. School of Physiotherapy provides the following: Diploma in Physiotherapy, Honors, Bachelor of Physiotherapy Audio, Master of Physiotherapy. Department of Environmental Health provides the following courses: Diploma in Environmental Health, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety Honors, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety Honors ODL, and Diploma in Occupational Health. So the Department of Medical Imaging provides the following: Medical Imaging Honors and Bachelor of Medical Imaging Honors ODL. So why to join the health sciences? High job demand, essential services, no boring work routine, lucrative remuneration, low risk of job redundancy, cannot be automated, opportunity to work in a variety of settings, a career you can feel good about. So let me give a brief introduction to Master of Physiotherapy. So we provide a one-year program that's full-time, a two-year program part-time. So these are the requirements, entry requirements for bachelor degree. So Bachelor of Physiotherapy Honors, Bachelor of Physiotherapy Honors ODL, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety Honors, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, Bachelor of Medical Imaging Honors, and Bachelor of Medical Imaging. So these are the entry requirements for the following. So Diploma in Physiotherapy, Diploma in Environmental Health, Diploma in Medical Imaging. And these are the entry requirements for the diploma. So Diploma in Occupational Safety and Health is a 3-year program. And these are the entry requirements. So why choose FOH at MAHSA? Experienced and dedicated international pool of academic staff, interactive teaching and emphasis on hands-on clinical skills. Wide list of hospitals and institutions for clinical and industrial placement, accredited by MQA and JPA with international recognition, teaching by experts. Various study modes, conventional, open, and distance learning. So we also offer many scholarships. RJ Abdullah Academic Excellence Scholarship, and we have collaborations and affiliations to various well-recognized international organizations, World Confederation of Physical Therapy, and so on. We have various student mobility programs where students from various countries come and visit our facilities at MAHSA University and get first-hand experiences about our institution. Also visit countries to various institutions of international repute to have a first-hand from those reputed organizations. So these are some of the pictures that where the student mobility program is being enhanced and implemented. We welcome you to join us. Thank you. So through MAHSA website, Facebook page to move will to you. Your can be listed in the chat box. So regarding the webinar, it's an insightful webinar activity in managing lactic acid levels. This session will examine how exercise influences lactic acid production and its conversion into ATP, the energy currency of cells. Attendees will gain a comprehensive understanding of how the body maintains energy balance, enhances performance, and supports overall efficiency through dynamic energy regulation. Additionally, the webinar will explore the implications of lactic acid buildup, including the potential for lactic acidosis, and how the body works to prevent this condition during intense physical activity. So it's my pleasure now to introduce the speaker of today's, Mr. Pradip Ramakrishnan. Mr. Pradip Ramakrishnan, a distinguished musculoskeletal physiotherapist with 13 years of experience in both clinical practice and academia. Holding a master's degree is highly effective in teaching kinesiology and simplifying complex concepts for students. Passionate about continuing care dedicated to enhancing patient quality of life through evidence and fostering an enriching educational environment. Once again, I invite Mr. Vijay Pradeep. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the warm welcome to this webinar, Mr. Sam. I heartfully thank MAHSA University for making me to present this webinar, and I'm proudly presenting the topic, Innovative Physiotherapy Solutions for Lactic Acidosis. I also extend my thanks to our Dean, Prof. Veronica, to make me have this opportunity to present this topic. So today's topic is about the lactic acidosis. Lactic acid. So when we hear this word, hey, lactic acid, so we think that it is a harmful thing that is present in the body that makes us injured in every possible ways, and whenever it deposits inside the body, that it makes some of the harms, but actually it's doing some different thing, and our body has some different plan. So the lactic acid, do we need to get it off? No. Here, why it is. So when we think of workout, the first thing that comes to our mind is how to plan the workout. So in a week, there are 7 days. If you work out on the 7 days in the week, all through the months, all through the years, and all through your life, then the body fitness will be intact and it will be optimal to get whatever the benefits that is being coming from the fitness and also the workouts through the aerobic way and in some different high intensity workouts. So the physical activity, if we think of, we have some different types of physical activities like walking, jogging, running, cycling, swimming, climbing, rowing, hiking. These are all the aerobic way of working out body in a free manner. When it comes to the high intensity workouts, it comes push up, pull up, lifting, crunches, curls, squats, dips, planks, lunges. All of these physical activities, which are the key factors for the well-being and longevity, because our body is made to do n number of activities. The muscles, joints, bones, everything will be intact and healthy if you use it often wisely. Fine. If we think about the workouts, we also have to think about the body engine. The body, the human body is a very big engine that supplies the source for what are all the things which are needed for this activity to be taken, the muscles, the bones, and how it will be working. For all these things, the body engine which sends the metabolism, the energy through the metabolism, the foods we consume, like the macronutrients and the micronutrients, the proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and all the other things that we consume from our food, has to go inside the body, and it goes to the digestive system, and from the digestive system it makes some chemical reactions, and it builds some energy in the form of glucose. So it will be the stored energy that will be stored inside the body, and whenever it is necessary, it will be sent to the parts that it is in need of. Right? So the end product will be ATP. So from the glucose will undergo different phases, and it produces the ATP. It will be the basic thing that is needed to make the ATP to produce, and that is the key factor for the muscles to use it as an energy. So we need to know that the ATP is an energy currency that will be utilized by the muscle fibers to make the powerful contraction. Right. So we know that the glucose is the major thing that is necessary for all the things, and it is the base that creates all other metabolic activities to be taken place. Right. So the light workouts that we make in the body, which makes the body's mitochondria, that is the powerhouse of the cell, which will be the major structure in the body that produces ATP, which is the energy currency that we already have discussed, that the mitochondria, it gets improved in its size and also the numbers, and that will be the major precursor to bring more ATP to produce. Right? So from the light workouts, it happens, and this is how the mitochondria will be producing n number of ATPs to make the muscles use it as an energy currency. This is how the cellular respiration pathways that happens, as we discussed in the earlier pages. The glucose, which will be the major thing, and that is the base, which will be the base for all these activities. And this glucose will undergo some different pathways to create the energy to be absorbed by the body and the muscular activity. Glucose, which undergoes glycolysis by means of different ways. If it undergoes through the aerobic pathway with the help of oxygen, if it got too much of oxygen in the body, and like the more or less the aerobic activities that we do, like the running, jogging, and all the other activities which are considered as aerobic, which uses the oxygen more to make the glucose, to convert it into the ATP. So the glucose makes use of oxygen, and it creates the ATP by means of the Krebs cycle. For the instance, if we do not have the oxygen enough in the body, and it still needs to be needed, the ATP still will be needed by the muscles to make a powerful contraction. So what it will be happening? So the glucose, which undergoes some different pathway without the oxygen, which we used to call it as an anaerobic way of glycolysis, and that makes a byproduct of lactic acid, which is what we are going to talk about today. So the lactic acid will be the byproduct that comes out of the glucose when it undergoes the anaerobic pathway of glycolysis. Right. What it is? The lactic acid. It is your best friend. It's your best friend since it's byproduct of what ultimately allows you to do high intensity work and grind through challenging workouts. So it's just the byproduct that comes out of ATP. When the ATP breaks down, it also makes the lactic acid to be formed in the tissues. It also plays a central role in regards to resulting muscle soreness we can feel after the exercises, after the heavy workout. Well, technically, it is the accumulation of the hydrogen ions attached to the pyruvate, which then forms the lactic acid. What it is, how it is produced. So the production will be mainly in the muscle cells and also in the red blood cells when the body converts the glucose into energy without using the oxygen. It functions as a temporary energy source during the strenuous activities and helps in the production of glucose in the liver and the kidneys. And what it makes its role in the body, besides providing the energy, lactic acid provides a role in cellular respiration, glucose production, and molecular signaling. There are some values these lactic acid that does in the body, which are its main function is integrity, creating energy to power the cells when they demand more oxygen than our body gives. Gluconeogenesis is another process which makes the lactic acid will be a very good important or source material that will be helpful to create the new glucose, which will be called as a gluconeogenesis that turns into new glucose your body can use when it needs more energy. It also collaborates with molecular signaling, like the soldier or any signaling manager present in the body. Hey, we got some repair to do. It sends a little flags to the messenger systems, to the cells, to the high centers to make action. So, for example, if it makes some deposition in the muscle tissues, it signals the body to reduce the amount of force that we are making. So it also acts as a collaborative thing, which making signaling thing to other cells. It also innovates providing extra essential vitamins. When we talk about the exercises, we also have to talk about the zones. There are different zones in the aerobic training, and each of those zones will be having different effects on the body systems. When it comes to the zone 1, which is just the intensity at which the body uses its aerobic metabolism system to produce energy from fat and the glycogen. It's just a very basic and very minimal amount of activity that our body does, just the metabolic activity that happens to make the optimal living without any extra activities involved. That is zone 1. And the zone 2, which will be the light workout, which will be the gentle jogging or walking, a brisk walking, or some treadmill running like the jogging and many other things, which we use in a very minimal amount of energy expenditure. And the zone 3 will be moderate, that is targeting heartbeat range for aerobic endurance and activities. So the runners that running with some specific intensity to build their endurance, which will be categorized as the moderate, and it will be the zone 3 workout. And the next thing, which will be the zone 4, which is the hard exercises that target ranges for anaerobic activities. So if the muscle needs more energy, if the muscle needs to be working more than its usual way, it needs some anaerobic way of contraction, and that happens in the zone 4. And the maximum will be the short burst speed running or any short burst weightlifting that uses the maximum of its muscles efficiency to make or to fulfill the activity. So these are all the types of the zones that we always will be working out, and most of the time, the zone 2 will be helpful in different ways. So let us go into detail about it in the later slides. So these are all the activities that are categorized as zone 2, which is just a gentle jogging or very minimal amount of speed of walking that mainly uses the slow twitch muscle fibers present in the muscle. The muscles which we have will be having some fast twitch and the slow twitch fibers present together. Most of the zone 2 activities which will be done by the slow twitch muscle fibers, and it's a highly working when we do the zone 2 training, and it will be helpful to bring more blood supply to the muscular fibers when we undergo some aerobic activities in this speed. When it comes to the high intensity workouts. Mainly, these workouts will be done by the fast twitch muscle fibers, which will be working more intensively to bring a powerful contraction, which makes a heavy activity to be happen. And what happens? The lactic acid will be accumulated once after the high intensity workout have been done. What exactly happening behind this phenomenon? The lactic acid, as we discussed, is a byproduct that comes from the ATP. When the ATP is used for energy as a currency to make a muscle contraction, it releases the lactic acid as a byproduct. Actually, the lactic acid will not be a simple thing. It will be the lactate and the hydrogen ion. And always the lactate is a base and the hydrogen is the acidic one. If this makes immediately when the lactic acid has been released as the byproduct from a muscle contraction, it makes it to dissolve into lactate and the hydrogen ions. This is what all will be happening, and we always will be thinking that the lactate is a harmful thing or harmful substance that is present in the body, which is producing some noxious stimuli like pain and to stop the activity, but it not actually is. The lactic acid is the source material, and whenever the oxygen that is available in the circulation, this lactate can again be produced as the glucose. It can be the precursor material that will be utilized by the body systems to create more glucose, right? And the next thing, the hydrogen, which is the culprit here, and it is the one which makes the painful situation, which makes the blood acidic. It reduces or it makes some changes in the pH. The usual level of lactic acid will be less than 2 millimole per liter. When it exceeds 2 until the 4 millimole, it will be categorized as the lactic acid accumulation. But actually, it's the hydrogen ion which is making the blood acidic, and that makes us to feel some pain when it is present in the muscle tissues after a heavy workout. What happens with the intense working out or intense exercises? During the exercises when the muscles need more energy than the oxygen that can supply. This is what the next thing will be happening, the energy demand, which is during the intensive exercise, the muscles that require an energy that is as quickly as possible to make the contraction to happen. And here is what the next thing which is coming, that is the anaerobic metabolism, which will be readily available in the body systems to make it have more energy. When the oxygen levels are insufficient, your body switches from aerobic metabolism to anaerobic metabolism. By means of this, it produces more powerful contraction, that is from the energy that is readily available in the muscles mitochondria. As a result, the lactic acid production will also be happening when the glucose broken down in the anaerobic way to produce the ATP. It sends out the byproduct of lactic acid. And later, if it's built up in the body, it accumulates in the muscles and also in the bloodstream, which makes it to happen the lactic acidosis. As we discussed, the hydrogen ions present in the lactic acid, which is making it to be acidic, and that makes the condition lactic acidosis. And what we are discussing now here is all about the exercise-induced lactic acidosis, and not the systemic one. So once it got accumulated, it makes some adverse effects in the body. The muscle fatigue will be occurring because of the high levels of lactate, which makes us to fail to do powerful muscle contractions if it is present in the bloodstream and also in the muscle. It also reduces the performance by means of accumulating inside the muscle tissues, and it creates a metabolic acidosis, which is mainly leading to have some pH imbalance, right? So then it comes the organs. We have some bigger organs and the body will automatically be relying to energy systems. We discussed about the zone 2 exercises. When the zone 2 exercise performed, and mostly it will be making the use of the slow twitch muscle fiber, which is highly fatigue resistance, and that makes the blood vessels to supply more blood to the body systems, more blood that comes from the larger blood vessels. Usually, by the slow twitch muscle fibers, it will be helping the body systems to create multiple capillaries. The capillaries are very tiny terminals of the blood vessels that goes to the tissues, to the individual muscle fiber. When the slow twitch muscle fiber contracts a lot, it brings more capillaries. And when you make it as a habit, of working out every day with the zone 2 training, it creates more capillaries. It brings more capillaries and it creates more mitochondria, and also the size of mitochondria will be improved if we do the workout every day. So since the slow twitch muscle fibers, which are mainly used by the zone 2 training, it doesn't mean that it will not be the one which is necessary, and it will not be helpful to the high fast twitch muscle fibers. It's not like that. So because of this long standing activity that was done by the slow twitch muscle fiber to make creating multiple capillaries to the muscle fibers, there are many chances for making the muscle fibers to receive nutrients through the bloodstream, and also more of oxygen to the muscle fibers. If plenty of oxygen which is available in the muscle fibers, then the lactic acid deposition will be reduced and the hydrogen ion concentration will also be reduced. Immediately, the lactate and the hydrogen ion which are dissolving, lactate will again undergo in different processings and it create the glucose more often. Whereas the hydrogen, which always will be mixing up with the oxygen, and it goes as the water, right? When this happens in the body, automatically, whenever it is necessary to bring some powerful muscle contraction, the fast twitch muscle fibers, which will be mainly doing this, and those are highly fatigue resistance, non-fatigue resistance muscles that cannot withhold the fatigue. Like if we do some high intensity workouts, the body will be sending some signals after a few repetitions to stop the movement because of the pain and the deposition of the acidity in the muscle fibers. There, it needs more oxygen to make the lactic acid to convert it again to the glucose. What happens here? The deposition of the lactic acid in that region have to be flushed off. And here the slow twitch muscle fibers that works to these fast twitch muscle fibers to get rid of this excessive amount of lactic acid that is spreaded around the muscle fibers. To make it wash from that region, it needs the speed of circulation. So the blood pumping will be more often necessary here to make the lactic acid to wash off from this region, right? And if this happens in a sequential and in a balanced way within the muscle itself, it does not need any involvement of the other structures often. But when the accumulation happens more than the washing out of the lactic acid, that the problem begins, and the hydrogen ion will be concentrating more in the muscle fibers, which makes the muscle to feel pain. It needs some powerful pumping organs to eradicate this kind of happenings that is present in the muscle fibers, that is happening in the muscle fibers. There comes the systemic organs, the highly efficient organs which comes into this region to help out this process. Heart, the cardiac muscle, which is having a capacity to use the lactate as an energy source to create more energy, right? So these developed lactate that goes to the heart, and the heart will be consuming this, and it has a capacity to produce more glucose and more energy by means of converting the lactate into energy. The same job will be done by the brain as well. The brain, which also has a capacity to convert this lactate into energy. Then the liver, which is also having the property to convert this lactate to the energy by means of Cori cycle. So the excessive amount of lactate that is present in the body systems through the circulation, it will be pumped to the heart, and later from the heart it goes to the liver, and also from the bloodstream that goes to the liver that converts this lactate again into the glucose, right? So it is a helpful material and it is not at all harmful to us. It will be the precursor to create the energy again as a glucose. And finally, the kidney, which is also an efficient organ, which will be highly capable to absorb these lactate and wash it out from the bloodstream to create more glucose. So now we come into the physiotherapy strategies. What are the important things that are helpful in the way of physiotherapy to deal with this lactic acidosis? So the active recovery, interval training, stretching and the foam rolling technique, cooling down once after the workout, and breathing techniques. These are all the important factors that are responsible to reduce or minimize the lactic acid deposition. So the active recovery that starts immediately after the working out. So the muscle contraction that happens in the high intensity workout, which makes use of the anaerobic way of breaking down of glucose, and we know that it creates some lactic acid as a byproduct. But when you flush this lactic acid from that region to another region, it will be helpful to again back into flow with the circulation to convert this into the next available product, right? So the active recovery, which will be the initiation of any physical activities after the high intensity energy workout, which mainly will be in the zone 2 training. And also the interval training, which will be much helpful to produce this energy by means of using the lactic acid. So interval training, whenever we do some zone 2 exercises and once the body feels some fatigue or some tiredness, we will be stopping the activity and we will be using the oxygen, the relaxation. During that time, the oxygen will be consumed more, and that will be helpful to get rid of these accumulation. Stretching and the foam rolling, which will also be helpful to make the proper position of the muscle fibers to get rid of some abnormal contractions that happens in the muscle fibers, and also the facial tightness which also will be happening when we do high intensity workouts. And mainly the pain that comes to the muscle fibers is because of the tears and micro damage that happens to the muscle fibers because of the contractions that happen. So foam rolling and also the stretching in a multi-plane direction that helps us to get rid of this lactic acid related pain. And cooling down whenever we do some workouts, we also have to cool down the body before we fully stop the activity. After the high intensity workout, we have to slowly reduce the intensity and also the load that we were putting, and to reduce the efficiency slowly by step, and that makes as a cool down, like warming down the body. And at last, the breathing technique, which is also playing an important role. Only in this way our body gets oxygen. During breathing, more amount of oxygen will be inspired, and the lungs which adds upon this oxygen to the blood. And if you get more oxygen, and that will be helpful to the muscle to get rid of these acidic products as early as possible. And out of all, an important thing which will be the hydration. Hydration is the key factor, and it is an important factor that is necessary to be maintained always whenever we do some physical activities, because we are talking for this much of time fully about the circulation and the bloodstream activities that happens, which makes the tissues to run and wash out and make some pumping circulation from one region to other. All this need the fluid, right? And that is what the hydration is. So make your body to be hydrated often, and it will be helpful to the body systems to make the metabolic activity in a balanced way. There are some keys to performing an effective lactic acid flush. After all, clearing out the lactic acid from the muscles after the exercise session will reduce the muscle soreness and thus help you to get rid of the pain from the next session. So usual thing, if we do some workouts, the following session, the next day or the very next day, we will be feeling some pain, and that is mainly because of the muscle tears or some injuries that happens to the muscle fibers in a proactive way to develop the muscle fibers. Actually, this kind of precursors which is happening to the muscle fibers as an injury, which will be making the muscle to get hypertrophy, the muscles to be more efficient to do more activities, right? And during that time, flushing out this material from the localized muscular fibers is an essential thing. And performing an aerobic activity immediately after the exercise session, which will be more important thing. And we do not know about what type of intensity and how effectively we need to work out after this high intensity workouts. It's just running or it's just a simple jogging, which makes you to talk freely without any discomfort. For example, if you have a companion with you while you are doing this aerobic activities, when you are talking freely without any disturbance or without any complications or without gasping, then that will be considered as the zone 2 training. And the zone 2 training, we are again bringing it to make the blood circulation to happen properly and smoothly. So it keeps the blood flow elevated even after you stop the activity. Even after stopping the high intensity energy workout, the bloodstream and the blood supply elevation will still be maintained when you do this kind of warming down exercises as an aerobic way. So what happens here? The blood capillaries, the small twitch muscle fibers, which makes more blood capillaries to be present in that muscular region, which brings more blood cells and all the essential nutrients that are necessary to make a muscle to work more efficiently, to make the energy to be produced from the mitochondria. So this mitochondria, which produces more amount of energy whenever it gets some lactate and the oxygen together. So the lactate will again be added up with the oxygen, and this will be converted into ATP again. So this is how the capillaries that is present in the body, which brings the blood cells to the muscular region to reduce the amount of lactic acid that is present. If there are more capillaries, more pumping action will be happening, and because of this pumping, the deposition of the metabolic wastes and the byproducts will be taken back by the circulation to create more energy. So this flush has to be happening immediately after the working out. You can do even with some equipments like the treadmill or any other equipments, and even a very low invasive and less expensive technique, a simple zone 2 jogging. So heart, which is also an important thing that we need to consider, and this is having its high efficiency to convert the lactate back into energy, and that again puts back into the circulation, which makes the lactic acid be again an important thing to produce the energy. Fine. So the lactic acid, which is not an enemy to us, and it is an unsung hero, which is present in the back crew and the construction site manager, all rolled into one. What are we waiting for? Let's make a deal with our best buddy and start working out. So this lactic acid, which is always be present in the backstage, whenever our body is lack of oxygen, if the oxygen supply has been reduced and the body needs more amount of energy, the lactate will be the important thing that will be always present on the backstage, that immediately come into action, and that works together to make more energy to the muscle contraction to happen, right? So I hope this webinar makes you understand a very little amount of knowledge about the lactic acid. So what are we waiting for? We have to still not be sitting in the same place. We have to make this all to happen, to utilize the zone 2 training as high as possible in the way of physiotherapy. It helps you to build more capillaries, and that will be helpful to create more mitochondria, and the size of the mitochondria, which will be the powers of the cell, which makes us to create more amount of ATP. More glucose will be made and more energy will be made. The energy currency will be made more, so the body economy will be maintained intact. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, you can put forward.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay, for the enlightening presentation. To your viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to complete the survey form located in the comment section at the end of the session, and an e-certificate will be awarded. So now the floor is open for the Q&A session. So, Mr. Vijay, once again, my heartiest congratulations for an insightful presentation. So, regarding today's webinar on lactic acidosis, so could you kindly enlighten us what kind of an exercise will be an appropriate one to reduce this lactic acidosis form?
That is a very good question, sir. Since we have discussed some of the zones to make exercises, and I would advise to make the zone 2 exercise as high as possible to make the muscles utilize the slow twitch muscle fibers that creates more capillaries and more nutrient supply. So the exchange, energy exchange and the nutrient exchange will be more effectively happening in the capillaries, that it also exchanges the blood and also the nutrients between the muscle fibers and also into the circulation. So when our body is trained very well into this kind of slow twitch muscle contraction by zone 2 training, it will be much helpful for our body structures to get rid of this lactic acidosis that comes because of the exercises.
So thank you for that insightful answer regarding which kind of exercise will be beneficial to reduce lactic acidosis buildup.
Yeah, we can make some jogging in a relaxer way that does not makes you feel tired. Like as we seen in one of the slides, that we usually have to make this exercise in a low invasive technique, which is less expensive technique to make the muscle contraction, and it is always readily available with maximum amount of nutrients. So a jogging, very minimal amount of cycling in a gentle speed in the plain surface, and also a brisk walking. And still, as a physiotherapist, we can design these exercises to individuals in making the consideration of their body systems and also their demographic details, the age, and also their ability level, and many other things.
Okay.
A very minimal amount of activity, right?
So we have one more question for you, Mr. Vijay. So could you please highlight on the exercise parameters that we have to concentrate upon while we are?
Yeah, since that is what it is highly not possible for everyone to understand their own safest way of exercising. That's why I was using the technique that we have to freely talk. If you're going to the jogging or walking alone, if you have your phone in your hand and whenever you get some call, you still have to talk to that phone call without any problem or without gasping or without breathing heavily. If it is so, and that will be the optimal level to do the zone 2 exercises. We can even do the cycling, the static cycling, the ergometer that can be kept in the home, and also the exercises that are done in a very minimal amount of energy expenditure, like the treadmill walking and the normal activities, playing with the kids and just walking in a brisk way, in a systematic way. You have to be consistent every day to these activities without making your body to get more stressed.
Okay, Mr. Vijay, thank you once again for that insightful answer regarding the exercise parameters that we have to concentrate upon while we're dealing with lactic acidosis. Once again, sincere thanks regarding for your insightful answer regarding that. So,
Thank you, sir. Thanks a
yeah,
lot.
thank you very
And
much. Thank you very much,
thank
sir.
everyone for your presence, and my colleagues and all those who are working towards the smooth happening of this webinar. I thank you one and all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay, once again. So, we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you, Mr. Vijay, for joining us today and providing such an insightful information regarding lactic acidosis. So, to our wonderful audience, thank you for joining us at this webinar. We look forward to your comments and participation at future events hosted by MAHSA University. Please fill in the survey form, which can be found at the comment section. By the end of this webinar, ESET will be awarded. In case of any further queries, you can contact us through MAHSA website or visit our social media. Have a pleasant and wonderful weekend. Once again, our sincere thanks to one and all for joining us for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.